Reading Fire Department says it's billing residents who call the department for lift assist, which the department categorizes as non-life-threatening situations in which people need help getting up after a fall or similar incident. Fire officials say eventually the fee will apply to, quote, all emergency medical service calls or EMS calls to which the fire department responds. Bills have begun rolling out to residents dating back to January 1st of this year. Reading City Council first approved the first responder fee back in 2023, now totaling $489. Reading Fire says its department responds to about 1,200 lift assist calls each year, on average of more than 3 per day. They say the incidents fall under acuity emergencies, which are incidents that are important to the people involved, but not necessarily considered life-threatening by emergency standards. Reading's fire chief says that one fire engine wrapped up with an acuity emergency can leave a gap in coverage for someone in more dire need. City of Reading provided responses to frequently asked questions on its website. For those asking, why can't an ambulance provide the service? City says the fire department responds quicker since there are more fire stations throughout the city. Average response time of a fire engine or truck, according to the city, is about 4 minutes faster than an ambulance. Additionally, life-saving emergencies often require more personnel, and on occasions, the city says all Reading ambulances are committed to other calls. And for those wondering, don't taxes cover this service? Well, Reading city officials say the services provided by the fire department have, quote, evolved and expanded well beyond the fire suppression costs supported by sales and property taxes, end quote. City goes on to say a fee-based approach has become a necessary standard. Back in 2021, during a city council meeting when the fee was first being discussed, Reading fire chief explained why the fee was necessary for the department.
So really the rationale behind the first responder fee is that fire service has just evolved over time and taken on so many things that the taxes and sales tax, property taxes, things like that, and the general fund is just sometimes it's difficult to support all the needs that we have.
Reading city officials say the fee may be covered through insurance, or the bill can be reduced or waived entirely if the patient is unable to pay. The fee was determined by totaling the hourly benefited rate personnel, fuel, and maintenance costs. City Council then approves the fee, which again stands at $489 per hour per non-emergency call for service, according to city documents. Fee is meant to recoup costs associated with first responder certifications and EMT training. City says it also covers equipment, fuel, and maintenance costs. Fire department chief in the city reiterate that if the fire department were not able to provide those services, then the community would be impacted negatively. But residents online raise concerns that the fee would deter people, especially elderly, from calling 911. Fire department says they've tried to mitigate low acuity calls by contacting healthcare providers to come up with better medical care plans for patients who frequently call for service. In response, Reading Councilmember Dr. Paul Danuka said in a social media post, quote, "It is important to note that most non-emergency calls originate from nursing homes and assisted living facilities, which ideally should have their own resources and assume responsibility for RFD costs when contacting the fire department. To address citizens' concerns and gather feedback, I am hosting a public coffee meetings on the first Saturday of every other month. I'm happy to organize additional public meetings with the city staff or the fire chief to further discussion options," end quote. And as mentioned, the fire chief can waive fees for those who can't pay. The fee may also simply be reduced. Regardless, residents who receive a bill and wish to send a fee waiver may send a written explanation to the Reading fire chief directly by emailing readingfire@cityofreading.org. Chief says they'll look at each case individually.